Thomas Nicholas is heading our way to celebrate 25 years of American Pie and bringing his band, the Thomas Nicholas Band, with him. Thomas, how are you going, man?
I'm good. How are you, Ned? Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and putting up with all the delays of getting our conversation going.
No, definitely worth the wait, man. You're feeling a little bit jet lag, had a big flight over. You've had a crazy schedule, I've seen.
I'm just living off of a series of naps, whether that's on a concrete floor, an airplane chair, or, in my hotel room, but I haven't had much time there because, of course, I'm in Sydney, so I got to go do things like hang out with koala bears, which I did
Yeah.
today.
Oh, that's fair enough, man. Now, you were born and grew up in Vegas. Was it always going to be acting for you? Like, you didn't really have much other choice, I guess. That's the kind of thing that happens there, right?
Well, I mean, it was definitely my choice to pursue a career. I started when I was about 6.
Yeah.
And I was born in Vegas, but I actually grew up in Los Angeles.
Oh,
We
there you go.
moved there for my mom to pursue her career in acting. And then she got a job as a casting director, created some opportunities for me. I loved it so much that I wanted to do it. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, after going on 250 auditions every year to land one job, here I am 25 years later with a couple feathers under my cap and getting to tour around Australia.
Yeah, it's amazing right there. Of course, for the 25 years of American Pie, the movie that a whole bunch of us grew up on and is just our teenage years in one. What would be the most common question you get asked when it comes to American Pie, Tom?
The most common question is if we made American Pie 5, or like, could we make that movie in today's day and age?
Yes.
That is the most common question because obviously, you know, the tonality and sort of you know, general kind of things now. And here's the thing. I think people forget that we couldn't make that movie then. No, seriously, we really weren't supposed to make that movie then, and we were pushing the envelope then and offending people then. We were still 5 years after the invent of, the term, politically correct, and we were stuck with an NC-17 rating and fought for 2 weeks, like trimming little bits of the film to like abide by their rules. So we've always not been able to make this movie. And that's what makes comedy so much fun, is pushing the envelope. Because at the end of the day, it's a film, and it's meant to entertain us. And it's so cool that people are still into it, that it's kind of a cult classic, so to speak.
Yeah, it definitely holds its own to this day. And I was about to say that. I was wondering if you're on top of some of those things getting around about the woke community and whatever, saying that you just could not make this in this day and age. But yeah, I love what you say there.
It's always been that way. So, same story, different day.
Yeah. Man, I got to tell you a story. I was in America myself just last year, and I met Shannon Elizabeth from the series. And I've got to say, I was just as awkward as Jim in the series. Have you? Do you still keep in contact with many of those guys?
Yeah, you saw her at a Comic-Con event, or
yeah, Chronicon.
Or were you playing Texas Hold'em with her?
No, I stupidly said, it was the stupidest thing that I traveled the whole way there to see her, and she looked at me and basically said, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, so I do a lot of Comic-Con events with the cast, and in this recent year, or like the recent few months, we've had a bit more of us together. We did Rhode Island Comic-Con and Steel City with a handful of us, and now there's even talk of maybe all of us coming over and doing something in Australia.
Oh,
But I'll always be able to say I did the reunion celebration first.
Yes, with your band too, and switching things up to your band, the Thomas Nicholas Band. It's a fun one. My generation, did you demand that being on the reunion soundtrack? Oh, surely you did.
Oh, dude, I've been trying to get a song on the soundtrack for like since the first one. I tried on every film. And so it was one of those things where I kept asking them and they kept saying yes. And then someone would kind of get in the way of it and it wouldn't come together. So finally, the way that it worked out for that one is I performed at the wrap party for the whole cast and crew. And I think the
Nice.
live performance is what kind of got me what I wanted, and got me the song on the soundtrack. So if that doesn't tell you that you shouldn't miss my live shows, I don't know what will.
Yeah, exactly right. And I tell you what, I love the parody songs that you've got happening too. Like the Stiflers Mum song is an absolute classic right there. You do covers of Alien Ant Farm. Alien Ant Farm's actually in Australia at the moment too, or about to be as well, Thomas. I don't know if you knew that. So there's a bit of a connection happening there. But do you have a favorite like cover song that you've done?
Probably my favorite is my parody of Bowling for Soup's 1985 called 1999 that I wrote
Yeah.
with Jarrett and recorded with Bowling for Soup.
Yeah.
And that one sort of opened up some doors for me in this world. And speaking of Alien Ant Farm, I'll be on the Creed Summer of '99 cruise with them in April as well.
Oh, there you go. That's all sorts of fun right there. And I was just about to bring up Bowling for Soup actually, because you've played some shows with them as well. Yeah. And they feature on your latest album that came out last year.
Yep, they're featured on there along with Less Than Jake, the early November, Aaron Jones. And now I know I kind of missed the first show of my Australian tour opening up for Wheatus due to my flight delay.
Yeah.
But now, Wheatus is heading over to do some sold out shows with Bowling for Soup in the UK. And they just announced that they're playing Wembley. How cool is that?
That's gnarly right there. So you're going to be playing with them?
Oh, I mean, I wish. I am talking to Wheatus about doing some other shows and tours together. Nothing is confirmed yet, so I don't want to start any rumor mills. But Brendan and I are chatting about it. So, stay tuned for some news drops for sure.
Yeah, nice. So is that the sort of music that you grew up on, like that sort of 90s pop punk sort of type music there, Thomas? Like, what are your biggest influences?
I mean, when I first started playing guitar, grunge was like the main thing that was happening. I picked up a guitar in '94, like during the height of Nirvana. And
Yeah.
obviously Kurt Cobain's death was a big proponent in around the start of my kind of, music journey. My first albums were, definitely more in that flavor, especially my first album was more alternative rock, like kind of that mid-tempo vibe. And I think that as I as I journeyed through that, I ended up on the indie rock side in 2015 and finally found like my pop punk legs only recently with my seventh album. And I think I like it here the most.
Yeah, I love to hear that right there. And you get asked this a lot, I know, but how do you find juggling both music and movies? Like, because you're still in a lot of TV shows, movies, etc., as well as doing the music thing. Like, is it hard juggling both?
It can be, but only from a standpoint of scheduling.
Yeah.
Most of the TV and films that I'm doing right now, I'm also producing. So I can kind of designate when I want to do them and then just make sure that I don't tour during that time. So it's not very different from a band doing a record. You just sort of go, cool, we're not going to tour during this time because we're going to be, recording or filming.
Oh yeah, love it right there, man. And of course, with scheduling, we're talking about it now. You're literally doing this interview in a car, about to go to your next thing. So you're very much on the go. But man, I have to ask you this: you were in Halloween Resurrection back in the day. That was a fun out there movie. I wanted to know, what is your like to you? What's the most out there movie that you featured in that people should check out?
Man, my recent film Adverse, where I go head to head with Mickey Rourke, is one of my favorite things that I've done ever. Even though the most recent thing is more in line with what people know me as with comedy. I did
Yeah,
a mockumentary, kind of like The Office, called Underdeveloped, that you can actually watch over here in Australia on Tubi.
yeah, that's with Tom Green. Yeah,
No, under Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold.
Um,
Sorry, yes, sorry, my bad.
I know Tom Green's kind of been like he had a documentary that came out. So I think we've all been seeing like a lot
Yeah.
more of Tom Green. So there's a 90s insurgence happening right now for sure.
Oh, there most definitely is. First thing that comes to the 90s, what's the first thing to you, Thomas?
What are the 90s? Man, I mean, I'm obviously doing the American Pie emo night tour, and I just brought it while I'm here in Australia. I just did it in Canada, and I'm taking it back to the UK as well. So, you know, I don't mean to be a narcissist, but when I think of the 90s, I can't think of anything more 90s than American Pie.
Oh man. Well, I could just absolutely chat to you all day, but you're a super busy man. Too much for 10, 15 minutes, man. So I'll leave you with this question. Stifler's mum or Vicki?
What's really funny about that is every time I do these Comic-Con events, and Tara Reid will always come show that I play, because I'll always like book something for the band or an acoustic show, and she always like gets so mad when I play Stifler's Mom,
Yeah.
because in the lyrics,
Yeah.
I say something like, Vicki, you're just not the one for me.
Yeah.
And because I obviously didn't like make it Stifler, you're not the one for me, because and so she always gets so mad. So I guess technically speaking, if Stifler's Mom is doing so well, the song, then I guess in recent years I'm choosing Stifler's Mom over Vicki. Because come on, man, she broke my heart, and then she didn't want to
Oh.
get back together in American Pie too. So
Yeah, go Stifler's mum. There you go. I love it right there. And is there any talks on a new American Pie film? I've seen rumors and whatnot.
the only I guess this is not a rumor. The only thing I can share with you about that is they were negotiating for it. Universal was in the summer of
Oh,
2021. I know this because when my son we were at the premiere, he starred in the M. Night Shyamalan movie Old.
I
He's the
did.
main kid in that, and he's also in my new TV series Underdeveloped. So when we were at the premiere, we ran into the president of Universal, and he told me, "Hey, we are negotiating with Adam Hers, the creator of American Pie, for American Pie 5." And I guess when I texted Adam like 6 months later to see how the script was coming, he just said they didn't come to terms.
Yeah.
So I know it's a bummer. But I think with all this insurgence of 90s stuff kind of happening, we've got Happy Gilmore 2 coming out.
Yes.
There's these like other sequels and reboots that are happening, and this good feeling of nostalgia that I think it's possible that they could come back around to the table. So I feel like, as much as it's bad news that it didn't happen in 2021, I think there's still hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one, Thomas, man. And you yourself doing amazing things. You've got the band happening, which is great. Right now in Australia, you're doing DJ sets as well. What's happening in Australia? Tell us about this.
Well, American Pie Emo Night is a 3-act bill, so to speak. One
Yep.
is the screening of American Pie with a Q&A. The other is a live set, whether it's acoustic or with the band. And then the third thing is an emo DJ set. So on this 9-date tour, you will see me doing one of those things, or sometimes two, and sometimes all three. So there's
Yeah,
on the
busy,
tour
busy.
poster, you can kind of see there's a sort of a what do you call it in the bottom of a map? It's like the key, and
Yeah,
it
the
shows
key.
you
Yes.
which one's happening on which night. So you
Yeah.
gotta use your map reading skills to understand my Australian tour poster.
Yeah, definitely. No, I understand it. Little stars, hashtags, and whatnot. Say whatever you're playing, and you're playing right through until February the 9th. All of the details, tinband.com/tour. Very much appreciate you taking time out, man. You've been very generous with your time.
Dude, Ned, thank you so much again for being cool. Sorry, again, the first time I missed the interview, not my fault. Second time, completely my fault, but you didn't get mad at me for taking it, for napping on the job. So I thank you so much for taking the time.